When you go into the voting booth on Tuesday, November the 2nd, think about what's being offered. Runaway spending is finally under control. We cut an annual growth rate of annual federal spending from 17% by almost 2/3, down to 6%. The opposition You only have to listen to the opposition to know that no matter how they try to disguise it, what they're talking about is reopening the floodgates. And more spending means more taxes. Taxation has been called the art of plucking the feathers without killing the bird. But before we got there, the folks in Washington didn't seem to know when to stop plucking. We've put in place the first real tax cut rate, or tax rate cut, in almost, it works both ways, I guess, in almost 20 years. And when you go into the voting booth, remember that those who oppose our program did everything in their power to stop us from cutting your taxes. And they still want to take those tax cuts away from you. They're aiming right now at the remaining installment, 10% in the income tax that is due next July 1st. They want to cancel that. And what about inflation? When we got to Washington, it was public enemy number one, running at double digits for 2 years back to back, hitting 18% in January of 1980. Well, for 9 months so far of 1982, it is 4.8%. And you know, there's an interesting coincidence about that. The last time it was 4.8% was when the last Republican governor, Jerry Ford, was leaving Washington. They hadn't gotten their hands on it yet on the other side. Now, let me tell you what that reduction means to you in inflation. If we'd let prices continue going up the way they were, keep the same rate that they had, an average family of four would now be paying $25 more a month for their groceries, and almost all of your everyday expenses would be substantially higher. But what about those of you who are retired? If we had permitted inflation to continue as it was, a pensioner on a fixed income of $8,000 would now be $640 poorer in purchasing power. I don't have to tell you what that means to an older person trying to make ends meet. Because of what we've done, your pension is going farther. It buys more food and the necessities of life. Older people, as a result, are more independent. Today, with inflation dropping and with the upward trend of the stock market, billions of dollars have been added to the value of the assets of this country's pension funds, making those pensions stronger and more secure. So when you go into that voting booth, remember that those who oppose our program would return to policies that produced one of the worst inflations in the nation's history. Do you want to pay more for groceries? Do you want pension money to be worth less? No. Make sure that your friends and your neighbors know that that's what this election is all about.